Watch your life change. She didn't know who had left it on her desk that morning. No signature, no explanation, just the number 18 scrawled at the top, followed by a quote attributed to Rupert Sheldrake and a list of cryptic affirmations below. The last line read, "Fate listens when you speak with belief." Now it was 6:42 p.m. and she still hadn't gone home. She couldn't. Not yet. "I deserve to be chosen," she whispered. The warehouse district around her remained silent. No cars, no footsteps, no witnesses, just the muffled hum of the city far in the distance. Her reflection in the rearview mirror stared back, hollow-eyed, lips slightly parted. "I deserve to be chosen," she said again. Each repetition was like pulling a splinter from her skin. By the 20th time, her breath had evened out. By the 50th, her chest felt lighter. And by the time she hit 93, a strange clarity had settled behind her eyes. She was ready to leave, ready to drive home and face what waited. But just as she reached for the ignition, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Ava hesitated. No one ever called her after 6 anymore. Not since Noah left. Not since the firm downsized and made her invisible. She picked up. "Hello?" A pause. Then a voice she hadn't heard in 9 years. "Ava, it's me. It's Tyler." The words lodged in her throat. She hadn't thought of Tyler in years. Not since the court hearing, not since the deal they made to never speak again. The last time she saw him, he was being escorted out of her parents' home in handcuffs. "I don't have time," she said, her hand trembling against the steering wheel. "I know," he replied, "but something's happening. I think it has to do with you." She hung up. Her heart pounded. The engine started with a cough, but she didn't move. Instead, she sat there, the list still in her lap. The number 18 circled over and over in black ink. Something was happening. She felt it in her spine. The phone, the list, the call from a ghost. She looked up. A man was standing 30 feet away in the alley, watching her. She blinked. Gone. The silence returned, but the words echoed in her mind. "I deserve to be chosen." Ava didn't drive home. Instead, she turned the ignition off again and stepped out of the car. Her boots echoed against the cracked pavement, the chill in the San Francisco air slicing through her thin coat. The sun had vanished behind the bay, leaving behind only a haze of fading light and the sharp scent of salt and rust. She walked slowly toward the alley where the man had been. Empty. No footsteps. No shadow. Just the echo of her own breath bouncing off the graffiti-tagged walls. She stared at the spot where he'd stood. A tall silhouette, still, watching, like he'd been waiting for her, or following her. Ava tightened her coat and stepped back. Maybe the list was messing with her. Maybe repeating those words had triggered something in her mind, an old defense, some forgotten reflex from the days when she had to be on high alert, always watching for signs that the past hadn't let go of her. But the phone call was real. Tyler's voice was unmistakable. Rougher, slower, but still soaked in that strange blend of regret and danger. The way he used to say her name, like it belonged to him. Her phone buzzed again. Text message, unknown number. "You said it, didn't you?" No question mark. She didn't respond. She couldn't. Instead, she scrolled back to the torn notebook page still on the passenger seat and read through the affirmations again. They weren't the kind of motivational fluff she'd seen on Instagram or scribbled on bathroom mirrors. They were more direct, almost confrontational. "I forgive what broke me. I am the end of what was stolen. My voice shapes what comes next. I deserve to be chosen." She picked up the page and ran her thumb over the ink. It was smeared in one place, near number 18. Like someone had pressed their finger there too hard. Ava stuffed the note into her coat pocket and got back in the car. This time she didn't start the engine. She sat there, staring at the warehouse in front of her, the metal siding dull and streaked with rust. It used to be a cannery. Now it was storage. At least that's what the city record said, but she knew better. She'd been here before. Once, years ago. The night before her testimony. The night Tyler disappeared for good. The night she swore she'd never come back. She grabbed her phone again and typed back, "What do you want from me?" No reply. Instead, a voicemail arrived. She hesitated, then pressed play. Static, breathing. Then a whisper, almost inaudible. "You were chosen the moment you walked away." The message ended. Ava's fingers trembled. She didn't know what was happening, but she was starting to remember why she had buried it all so deep, and why fate, if that's what this was, might finally be done, waiting. The voicemail looped in her mind all night. "You were chosen the moment you walked away." Ava barely slept. Her apartment in the Mission was quiet. Too quiet, even for a Thursday. She'd locked the windows, bolted the door, pulled the blackout curtains. Still, the shadows felt heavier than usual, like something was watching through the walls. By morning, she'd made a decision. She called in sick. For once, no one questioned it. No one needed her lately. Not since the budget cuts, not since she got demoted to part-time case assistant. Her inbox could wait. Instead, she opened the fireproof lockbox hidden in her closet. Inside, a flash drive, a battered cassette tape, and a folded court transcript. People versus Tyler Grant, 2016. She hadn't looked at it in years. She didn't want to. But the past had decided to find her anyway. She pulled the flash drive out and plugged it into her laptop. A single file, Testimony Raw Wave. She hit play. Her own voice filled the room, younger, tighter, uncertain. He said if I ever told anyone, he'd burn it all down, that it wasn't just about money, that I didn't understand what he'd done. But I saw it. I saw the papers, I saw the footage. Ava stopped it. She'd forgotten the sound of herself afraid. Back then, everyone thought Tyler had stolen the evidence to protect her. He told the judge that, even begged her not to testify, but she knew better. He hadn't been protecting her. He'd been protecting something else. That something was never found. The hard drives, the ledger, the proof, all vanished until last night. Her phone buzzed again. This time, the message came with an address. 111 Linden, 2 p.m. Bring the list. No name. Just that. She stared at it. Linden Street was barely 2 blocks from where the cannery used to operate. Old warehouses, half of them condemned. No one lived there. No reason to go, unless someone wanted not to be found. Ava thought about ignoring it, deleting the message, moving on. But something in her chest, and something cold and ancient, told her if she didn't go, she'd regret it. So she went. By 1:58 p.m., she was parked outside 111 Linden. The building looked dead. Boarded windows, no signage, chain-link fence half torn down. But the door was ajar. Ava stepped out, list in hand, heart in her throat. Inside, it smelled like dust and oil, machinery long forgotten. Faint daylight streaked through cracks in the ceiling. "Hello?" she called out. No answer. Then a voice from deeper inside. "Ava, I hoped you'd come." She froze. She hadn't heard that voice in nearly a decade. Tyler. But when she stepped forward, it wasn't Tyler who appeared from the shadows. It was someone else entirely, someone she'd buried even deeper. For a second, Ava forgot how to breathe. The man who stepped into the light wasn't Tyler. It was her father, Martin Ellis. Dead for 6 years, or so she had believed. He looked older, more fragile around the eyes, but his posture, the slight limp, the way he held his hands like they were always hiding something, all of it hit her like a punch to the gut. "Dad?" Her voice cracked. He nodded once, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "I had no other way to reach you. You faked your death. I protected myself. And you." Ava staggered back. The warehouse spun. The list in her hand crumpled. "This has to be a trick. Some cruel setup. You were cremated. I watched the urn get sealed." Martin didn't flinch. "No, you watched a lie get buried." "I made sure of it." She wanted to scream, wanted to rush him and demand the years back, the funerals, the nights she cried herself to sleep, believing she'd never get closure. But all she could do was whisper, "Why?" He walked slowly to a folding chair near an old generator and sat. "Because the people I crossed weren't just powerful, They were patient. They don't come after you when you're loud. They wait until you're quiet. Ava's legs gave way and she leaned against a rusted support beam. So you just disappeared? Let me think I was alone. You weren't alone. You had the list. Her fingers tightened around it. What is this list? She asked, almost spitting the words. Why does everyone keep acting like it's some kind of code? Because it is, he said. It's a cipher, a pattern that activates something called a morphic field. It aligns memory and intent. Sheldrake's theory wasn't just theory, it was a weapon, and we used it. We, she echoed, stunned. Martin looked away for a moment. Me, Tyler, and someone else you don't remember, because we made sure you wouldn't. A chill slid down her spine. You erased my memory? You were 9. You walked in on something you never should have seen. That list, and the first time you recited it, it blocked that memory. But now you're older. You've said it again. That's why the field's shifting. Ava's pulse pounded. This is insane. You're talking about memory like it's a machine. Martin met her eyes. Memory is energy. Energy moves through patterns. And you, Ava, are the last person who can reset it. She took a step back. Reset what? Before he could answer, a loud crack echoed through the warehouse, wood splintering, glass breaking. Ava turned. The front entrance had been breached. Voices, boots. Her father stood suddenly. They found us. We don't have time. Who? She asked, panicked. He grabbed her wrist. The ones who want you silent. The lights above flickered, and for the first time Ava realized she wasn't running from the past. She was running straight back into it. They ran. Her father yanked her down a narrow stairwell hidden behind a stack of rusted shelves. The air grew colder with every step, damp and thick like the walls were exhaling after years of silence. What is this place? Ava whispered, heart racing. The original lab. Before the firm, before the cover-ups. This is where we proved the field could respond to focused intent, that words could reshape outcomes. She wanted to argue, to scream that none of this made sense, but the sound of boots above, heavy and closing in, silenced everything. The past was crashing through the ceiling. They reached a locked steel door at the bottom of the stairs. Her father punched in a code on a yellowed keypad. It beeped twice and hissed open. Inside, a narrow corridor lined with thick glass panels. Behind the panels, servers hummed, low and steady. Everything looked untouched by time. He led her to the center room, a single chair, a set of headphones. A monitor blinking with green text, field ready input sequence. Ava stared at the screen. What is this supposed to be? He motioned for her to sit. It's why they want you, not the list. You, your voice, your memory, your bloodline. You're the only one who can finish the pattern. She backed away. No, I didn't sign up for any of this. You already did. When you survived it. He pointed to a file cabinet. She opened it. Inside were dozens of photos, grainy surveillance shots. Herself, Tyler, her father, a girl in a red coat. Ava froze. That's me, she said, reaching for the photo. But it wasn't. She's the other one, her father said gently. You don't remember her, but she was part of the first test. Your connection to her anchored the field. Where is she now? Ava whispered. She died, he said. The day you blocked the memory, you spoke the list for the first time, not to awaken something, but to forget. Her breath caught. All these years she thought her trauma was vague, some unspoken abandonment, the weight of being alone. But it wasn't just emotional, it was engineered. This is why Tyler called, she muttered. He remembers too. He remembers differently. They got to him first. They've rewritten his role in the story. The power flickered. Sirens sounded upstairs. They're almost here, her father said. If they reach you before the sequence is complete, they'll sever the field. You'll forget again, this time for good. Ava stared at the monitor. The cursor blinked. Why me? Because you believed, he said softly. Even when everything fell apart, something in you still repeated the words. She closed her eyes. I deserve to be chosen. She sat, slipped on the headphones. The screen brightened. Then, just before pressing enter, she whispered again like a prayer from somewhere deeper than memory, "I forgive what broke me." And the field began to respond. The world didn't explode. It didn't crack open or pulse with light like in a movie. It simply shifted. Ava sat in the chair, headphones on, while a low hum rose around her. Not from the machines, but from inside her. The affirmations weren't playing through the speakers. She was reciting them from memory now, eyes closed, steady. Her voice wasn't just speaking, it was sinking. "I am the end of what was stolen." The screen in front of her pulsed green. In the hallway, her father stood watch. Heavy footsteps pounded on the floor above. Dust rained from the ceiling, but Ava didn't move. This was the moment she had run from her entire life. "My voice shapes what comes next." Suddenly, the humming stopped. A faint click echoed from the system, like a lock sliding into place. Then silence. The monitor displayed one final message. Field stabilized. Primary pattern, Ava memory integration complete. She removed the headphones slowly. Her father stepped into the room. "It's done?" She nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. Not from fear, not even from grief, but from clarity. "I remember her now," she said. "The girl in red." He lowered his gaze. "She was your half-sister. My first daughter." Ava blinked hard. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because she didn't make it. And when you saw it happen, I thought I had to protect you from remembering." Ava stood. "But forgetting didn't protect me. It haunted me." Upstairs, the footsteps stopped. No one came, no one broke through. "Why aren't they here?" she asked. "Because the field changed," he said. "You didn't just remember the truth. You rewrote the ending." Ava turned to the screen, heart pounding. "What do we do now?" Her father stepped beside her. "Now, you decide how much of the past deserves to stay with you." She looked down at the list in her hand, worn, creased, stained from years of hiding. But the words no longer felt heavy. They felt like something she'd earned. She reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a lighter. He said nothing as she set the paper on fire. It curled slowly, the ink vanishing in smoke, the number 18 dissolving last. As the final edge turned to ash, she whispered, more to herself than anyone else, "I am the one who chooses now." 2 weeks later, Ava sat in a small cafe near the Embarcadero, sunlight warming her face. She sipped her coffee, watching the ferries drift in. No messages, no shadows, just quiet. Across from her, a woman in a red coat passed by, pushing a stroller. She looked down at the child, smiling. Ava felt her throat tighten. She closed her eyes, not to forget this time, but to keep it. She was done being haunted, and somewhere, deep in the patterns of memory and intention, the field agreed. Ava found herself returning to Pier 48 one last time. There was no reason, no message, no sign, just a quiet pull, like the field inside her still had something to say. The warehouses hadn't changed, the same broken windows, the same salt-stained pavement. But she had changed. She stood where her car had been that night, the very spot where she first whispered, "I deserve to be chosen." Now, she didn't have to say it aloud. She simply knew it. A breeze swept past her, lifting a torn page from the ground, blank except for a faint smudge of ink. She caught it, turning it over. Nothing there. But somehow, it felt familiar. A reminder, maybe, that the words were never magic. They were keys to remember, to heal, to move forward. She folded the paper once, tucked it into her pocket and walked away, not looking back. Not because she was forgetting, but because the past had finally stopped chasing her, and for the first time in her life, the silence around her wasn't empty. It was peaceful.